Alright, so skinwalkers, according to Navajo legend, they're shape-shifting witches.
Some say it's just your cousin Greg in a furry suit running through the
No,
woods again.
listen. The accounts describe eerie, howling, growling eyes and creatures that
Or maybe it's just your ex trying to apologize with a Bluetooth speaker and a wolf mask. Come back, Curtis, I've changed.
Can I please finish one sentence without being hijacked by whatever that was?
Oh, you're the reason I can't have a serious conversation with
Oh my
myself.
God, forget it. Welcome to the Witch Show, where smart meets... Oh my God, shut up!
Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Witch Show, from what I think seriously to you.
WITS, The Witch Show.
Cool story, bro.
Welcome to the Witch Show, where smart meets stupid and somehow makes sense. I'm your host, Georgie, and I'm thinking out loud, so you don't have to. Alright, so skinwalkers, basically shapeshifters from Navajo lore, right? Culture stories to explain weird stuff like animals acting weird and people tripping over roots.
You're grossly underestimating swamp monsters
God,
in the
here we go
Southwest.
again.
Skinwalkers don't just act weird. They steal your voice, wear your face, and probably eat your leftovers when you're not looking.
Okay, sure. And I'm the king of Mars. Next, you're going to tell me they control the weather and sneak into my Netflix.
I mean, have you checked your Hulu lately? Ever notice how your shows disappear right before the scary part? Classic Skinwalker sabotage.
Right, because my Wi-Fi is obviously run by ancient shapeshifters.
Yeah, well,
Look,
maybe.
it's probably
You
just
don't know.
folklore to explain why people get scared in the dark. Or why Uncle Marcus's kitty cat won't stop howling at 3 a.m.
Uncle Marcus's howling kitty cat? That's the Skinwalker's apprentice.
Oh, man,
You think it's a coincidence that
Apprentice?
cats always act weird on Skinwalker Ranch?
Yeah.
Nope. The cat's just the warm-up act before the freaking big
Cool, so
monster
the big
shows
monster's
up.
a coyote in a fur coat with a terrible Yelp review?
Ouch, my Skinwalker has feelings. And it definitely doesn't care about Yelp. It's too busy shape-shifting and stealing your identity so it can binge-watch your Netflix.
Great, so I'm basically a walking skinwalker delivery service? I'm getting tired just thinking about it.
Yeah, that's the point. Skinwalkers want you exhausted and paranoid. That way, when they whisper your name at night, you'll actually answer.
Nah, I'm too busy watching reruns of Supernatural to listen to ghost voices.
Classic denial. Until one day, you wake up and your reflection winks at you. Then, it's game over, Georgie.
If my reflection starts winking at me, I'm booking a therapy appointment. I'm not calling you.
Actually, you probably should have booked that appointment weeks ago. I mean, you're literally talking to yourself.
Wait, what? You ever hear a voice call your name from the woods, but then you turn and no one's there? Yeah, don't answer it. And for the love of everything, definitely don't follow it. You're not supposed to follow skinwalkers because, in folklore, doing so is basically asking for trouble. And not the oops, I stubbed my toe kind of trouble. The you might disappear forever and no one finds you kind. See, they lure you away on purpose. Skinwalkers are said to mimic voices, of people you know, even loved ones, to draw you into the wilderness. And if you follow, you're on their turf, where they know every hiding spot you don't. And once you cross into their territory, you're not in your world anymore. The legends say there is a point where normal rules don't apply. People report time slips, getting lost in familiar places, or even feeling like they stepped into another dimension. Native American stories and modern accounts often end with, and then they were never seen again. The idea is that once you're close enough to truly see what they are, you don't live to tell the tale, unless they want you to, which is even creepier. And even creepier than that, following one puts you into a high adrenaline, high fear state, exactly what they want. Whether you believe in the supernatural or not, the predatory-prey dynamic kicks in. I'm assuming it's because they feed on fear. So much so that even disrespecting them could be dangerous too. In Navajo culture, even talking too much about them is considered risky, because it can draw their attention. Seeking one out on purpose is seen as a massive act of disrespect to the stories and the people who lived them. These things are older than language, born from scared lore and twisted by fear. Not some urban legends from Reddit. They don't knock at your door. They scratch at your walls. They don't chase you. They mimic you. And if you ever hear one speak, it's probably already too late. Now listen, what I'm about to tell you isn't for the faint of heart. We're going to talk shape-shifting, desert whispering, and creatures that wear faces of people you love. Because deep in the woods, in the mountains, out on the reservation, there's something watching. Something learning, something waiting. So, let's start with the basics. What even is a skinwalker? Well, according to Navajo legend, a skinwalker, or Yi Naldushii, meaning with it he goes on all fours. And it's a powerful, dark witch that can transform into any animal it chooses.
We're talking wolves, coyotes, owls, maybe your brother's weird cat. And these aren't just casual shapeshifters. They're cursed. And it's said that they gain their abilities by committing dark acts. And it's usually something horrific, like killing a family member. Yeah, not exactly Disney villain energy. We're talking full-blown, don't say their name, nightmare fuel. And the wildest part? This isn't just campfire storytelling. In Navajo culture, skinwalkers are taken very seriously. So seriously that people won't even talk about them out loud. Speaking the name is believed to attract them. Which is great news for me because I've now said it at least 5 times. So, if the mic cuts out midway through, blame the skinwalker or the Wi-Fi. Honestly, it's 50-50. So let's talk about the weird stuff. The sightings, the stories, I swear, I'm not making this stuff up. Most encounters go like this. You're driving through the desert at night, middle of nowhere, not a soul in sight. And suddenly, an animal darts in front of your car. It looks off, like it's wearing a costume made out of fur that doesn't quite fit. And its eyes? They're not animal eyes. They're human eyes. And then, it vanishes. Or maybe you're camping. You hear a voice outside your tent, and it sounds like your friend calling you, only your friend is still inside the tent. So you peek outside. Nothing. Next thing you know, there's a coyote standing just a little too still, watching. But the creepiest part is that these stories are real, and they come from all over Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, and especially near Skinwalker Ranch, which is basically the Area 51 of Paranormal Pie. So Skinwalker Ranch is located in northeastern Utah. It's the subject of numerous paranormal claims. Things such as UFO sightings, cattle mutilations, and encounters with strange creatures. While many of the most famous stories are based on first-hand accounts, a couple of the stories that I've heard are particularly chilling because it often leads to a sudden, terrifying end or the disappearance of a witness. One particular is the supersized wolf. This is one of the most famous and well-documented stories of the ranch, occurring when the Sherman family owned the property. Terry Sherman was the rancher who had the encounter. So the story goes that Terry Sherman was driving on the ranch one evening when he spotted a wolf in a field. This definitely wasn't a normal wolf because he described it as being 3 times the size of a typical wolf. He said that it had a muscly build and a piercing stare. So what does Terry decide to do? Well, he decided to follow in his truck, trying to get a better look. But of course, the wolf led him on a chase, moving with unnatural speed and agility. When he finally got close enough, he shot it with his rifle. The shot was clean, but the wolf seemed completely unfazed. It just stood there, staring at him. He shot it again, and again, to no effect. And finally, it turned and trotted away. And when it did, it vanished without a trace in the middle of a flat, open field. Ultimately, his decision to follow the bizarre, massive wolf is what led him to the terrifying realization that it wasn't a normal animal. I mean, clearly. And the encounter with the apparently bulletproof creature that could vanish into thin air is a classic example of what kind of paranormal event that has given the ranch its name. Things like that, and then there's of course the mysterious orbs of light. Many people on the ranch have reported seeing strange glowing orbs of light. One in particular is a security guard whose story is datelined in the book Hunt for the Skinwalker by Colm Kelleher and George Knapp. He was on patrol one night when he saw a brilliant orb of light descend from the sky and it landed in the field. However, instead of retreating, he was intrigued and decided to cautiously follow it to see what it was. But as he approached the orb, it began to move, seemingly in response to his presence. It would hover, pulse, and dart away, always staying a few hundred feet ahead of him. After a long and unnerving chase, the light suddenly shot straight up into the sky, at an impossible speed, of course, and then it disappeared. Now we hear this all the time, the typical story of luring a person into a deeper engagement. The security guard's decision to pursue the light was a direct attempt to understand what was happening, but it only served to showcase the anomaly's strange, non-physical nature. The feeling of being played or led on, it's a common theme in such accounts. Such accounts like the tree creature. This account comes from the biochemist named Colm Kelleher. Now this guy was brought in by Robert Bigelow to study the ranch's phenomena. That's right, the ranch gathered so many reports of supernatural tendencies that scientists started getting involved. I mean, it really does sound like something's going on over here. Yeah, anyway, the story goes like this. The research team was monitoring the property one evening when they saw a large humanoid creature perched in a tree. It was about 50 yards away, and it seemed to be observing them. Kelleher described it as a large, dark figure with penetrating yellow eyes. When he fired a rifle at it, the creature vanished. When the team investigated the site, they found a single deep, oval-shaped footprint. It was in the snow, and it was below the tree. But the thing is that the footprint was unusual. It had 2 sharp claws penetrating from the rear, almost like a massive raptor print. Okay, sure, it's folklore. I mean, after all, deserts get cold, coyotes look creepy, and people freak out. Or it's a demonic shapeshifter wearing your grandma's skin and whispering your social security number into the void. I don't know. There's a lot of accounts, and it's tough to say. But here's the thing. Do I believe in skinwalkers? I don't not believe. I mean, I live in Idaho. I'm really close to the Utah border and Skinwalker Ranch. I've heard stories like this my whole life. I personally am a huge skeptic. But you can't argue with the fact that something is happening out there. The consistency in stories, the ancient warnings, the hesitation from people to even speak about it? That's not nothing. If I ever heard a voice in the woods that sounded like me, I'm not sticking around to investigate. I'm hopping in my car, throwing holy water on the dash, and blasting Beyonce until the evil leaves my system. Because you know what's worse than seeing a skinwalker? Trying to explain to the cops why you crashed your car swerving to avoid a talking raccoon in a hoodie. All kidding aside, though, we could do this all day, because there's tons of accounts of crazy things happening on Skinwalker Ranch. Things that could fuel your nightmares for days. Things such as portals, literal sky holes with things crawling out of them. That's right, let me say it again, portals with things crawling out of them. Remember Terry Sherman, the guy who owned the ranch in the 1990s? Well, he told researchers that he and his family saw a tunnel of light floating above a field at night. Through it, they claimed they could see completely different landscape, like looking into another place entirely. But that's not even the creepy part. Apparently, a large, dark, humanoid shape reportedly crawled out of the portal before it snapped shut. And that's not the only account. Have you ever heard of NIDSCI, National Institute for Discovery Science? Well, its investigators, funded by billionaire Robert Bigelow, also heard accounts from locals and Shermans of oval-shaped openings in the sky that didn't match the background stars. Some claimed these openings would appear low to the ground or hovering a few feet up, kind of like a doorway. But what came out of them? Well, descriptions vary, but many talk about black, shadowy figures with unnatural movement. If you don't think that's creepy, I don't know. One account describes a huge, dark creature with glowing yellow eyes climbing out of the hole in midair before vanishing into the night. Others speak of wolf-like beasts larger than any natural animal stepping through and then disappearing again. So, what is it? Personally, I don't know. Maybe it's an interdimensional gateway? Interdimensional gateways are thought to be rips or overlaps between parallel realities, where something slips through. And the whole doorway hovering above the ground makes sense. Maybe it's UFO technology. Some researchers speculate that these portals could be artificial openings created by advanced crafts. Sounds like the plot to Stranger Things, if you ask me. Maybe if we hang out long enough, Millie Bobby Brown's gonna pop out and shoot you with some frickin' mind bullets. Okay, I'm kidding. I love Millie Bobby Brown. But anyway, maybe it's spiritual or folklore linking together. Navajo legends about skinwalkers and cursed lands sometimes overlap with stories of spirit world doorways. Maybe it's physical or environmental effects. Skeptics suggest that it could be hallucinations caused by stress, electromagnetic interference, or maybe even natural gas in the region. All that to me sounds like bullcrap, though. I mean, I worked in the oil field for almost a decade, and we studied things like natural gas. Breathing too much of it is just going to kill you. It's not going to make you hallucinate, in my opinion. I mean, we could sit here and speculate all day, but honestly, it freaks people out. And it's not just the idea of the portal. It's that the ranch is covered in overlapping mysteries. UFO sightings, cattle mutilation, poltergeist activity, bizarre creatures. But the portal stories tie them all together into one unsettling possibility. Something is watching from the other side, and sometimes it's coming through. And maybe that's what caused the cattle mutilation mystery. The Sherman family reported finding their cattle completely drained of blood, with organs removed like something used in an alien ice cream scoop. No tracks, no blood. One bull even teleported into the back of a trailer. I don't know about you, but to me, that sounds like a monster sent straight out of purgatory. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe they're gateways to purgatory. You know, the scary void between heaven and hell? Or maybe it's a government cover-up. we all know how Uncle Sam does not like to talk. Unless, of course, you didn't pay your taxes. Then they'll send you 500 letters a week telling you that they're going to levy everything you own. Because after all, it costs money to live here, in the land of the free. Anyway, Bigelow Aerospace and the Pentagon both had their hands in the ranch. Why would the government spend millions of dollars on spooky cow farms unless, something was really going on? And it's safe to say, with hundreds of accounts of stuff going on here, that it's far-fetched to believe that there's actually nothing going on and that it's all made up. And during the government's quiet little stay at the Skinwalker Ranch, not everyone sent there came back the same. And of course you won't read their names in official reports, not their real ones anyway, but their stories, they got out. A Navy intelligence officer, we'll call him Axelrod, is sent into a high-clearance visit. He sees lights, the shapes, he feels something watching, and weeks later, back in Virginia, his wife hears heavy footsteps upstairs. His kids see a giant black dog-like thing standing in the garden, eyes like burning coals. Then there's the 3 active-duty soldiers, all trained to face the unthinkable. They report seeing a black void opening in the air in front of them. No stars, no light, just nothing. They say it made their bones feel cold. When they got home, their family started seeing orbs, shadow people, and even wolf things that shouldn't exist outside of their stories. One man, a military police investigator, swears the ranch is more than just paranormal. He talks about cloaking experiments, tech that could bend your vision, your hearing, and even your mind. He says he saw a wolf the size of a horse, and when they shot at it, the bullets vanished before hitting it. But whatever it is, out there, it doesn't stay put. They call it the hitchhiker. Once you've been near it, it follows. Into your house, into your dreams. And the worst part? It learns your name. The Defense Intelligence Agency, or DIA for short, has even dubbed it the Hitchhiker Syndrome. And this is obviously because of the bizarre paranormal events that continued to affect them long after they left the ranch. Real accounts by real people in well-respected military positions. Now, thankfully, there are no publicly confirmed deaths directly tied to the Skinwalker Ranch, at least nothing officially documented in the police reports or government files. That said, in folklore and whispered accounts around the ranch, there are some stories that hint a darker outcome. Things like the Native American lore. The name Skinwalker itself comes from the Navajo legend about witches who can transform into animals. And in traditional stories, confronting or crossing a skinwalker can bring death, illness, or destruction. While this is cultural mythology, not verified accounts from the ranch, the land's reputation as cursed comes partially from these origins. And cursed it is, especially when you take into consideration Terry Sherman reportedly losing 3 of his dogs in a disturbing way. Apparently, the dogs were chasing a glowing glue orb into the brushes one night. This was going on for a while, but minutes later, the Shermans heard a loud yelp, followed by silence. And then, of course, the next day, they found 3 greasy piles of ash where the dogs had been. Of course, it wasn't a human death, but it did feed into the fear that whatever's on the ranch can kill living things instantly. Furthermore, former investigators, including government contractors, have spoken out about radiation burns, intense sickness, and severe psychological effects after the encounters on the property. Some were reportedly hospitalized with symptoms similar to acute radiation exposure, and these could be theoretically fatal under extreme conditions, but no confirmed public cases link a death to the ranch. At least, nothing on paper. Some insiders believe that the ranch phenomenon is opportunistic, meaning it interacts with people in unpredictable ways. Injuries and illnesses have been documented, but deaths may be hidden by NDAs and classified research, so it's unlikely that you're going to hear about it anyway. So, officially, there's no confirmed deaths. Unofficially, the lore suggests that people have come close, and animals haven't been so lucky. So, Skinwalker Ranch. We've got UFO sightings, creatures too big to be real, portals opening up in midair, government agents swearing they brought the weird home with them, and of course, a wolf the size of a horse, just casually strolling through bullets like it's having a Sunday walk. Now, do I believe every single story? Not 100%. Some of it feels like campfire exaggerations. But here's the thing. Too many people, from ranchers to scientists to soldiers, have walked onto the property and walked away with a "you won't believe what I just saw" story. And they're not all attention seekers. Some of these people hate the spotlight. Which makes me think, maybe there's a little truth tangled up in these tales. Maybe not everything out there plays by the same rules we know. And I'm not saying you should buy into every glowing orb and shadow man story you hear. But I am saying this. If the ground opens up and a 7-foot thing with glowing yellow eyes starts crawling towards you, don't stick around to fact check it. And that's why, if you ever see me running away from Utah, don't ask questions. Just run. Because honestly, if I ever hear my own voice calling me from the woods, I'm grabbing sage, salt, crucifix, and Beyonce on full blast, because I'm not about to stick around to be body snatched by a haunted coyote in Jordans. Do I think skinwalkers are real? Honestly, I don't know. But after reading all of these stories and hearing all of these first-hand accounts, there's something going on. And even if it's not a literal shapeshifter with a thirst for livestock, it's still real to people who've seen it, and that's enough for me. So until next time, this is The Witch Show, where smart meets stupid and somehow makes sense. I'm Georgie, your host, and I'm thinking out loud so you don't have to.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Witch Show from what I think seriously to you.
WITS, The Witch Show.
Cool story, bro.
Hey guys, Georgie here. Thanks for stopping by my podcast where I aim to drop these episodes serial weekly, which is podcast speak for probably once a week. Maybe whenever my Wi-Fi behaves. If you have any questions or suggestions, or you just want to roast me lightly, make sure to drop a comment or send me a message. I read them all, and sometimes even remember to answer before I forget what we're even talking about. So thanks for popping in to hear what I think seriously.